So yeah, Jones.
Did you see Darth Maul?
What happened
No,
today?
I played this. I played the demo that they played, but before I did that, and this was great. This
Wait,
actually.
I'm sorry. I literally spaced for 1 second. Did you
back?
see or you played?
I played.
He played.
Okay.
Played
Played.
Jedi Fallen
Played.
Order.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm here.
Um,
I'm here.
And the way they had, I loved the way that they had this appointment set up because I first walk in and there's 2, maybe 3, but it looks like there's like 2 separate theaters where you're going in to actually play the demo. And then there's a couch. There's Stig, and there's the crew, there's Respawn, everybody that are like, like, do you want a snack? And like, there's just people chilling on the couch playing a demo of the game. Not this demo. It was like Disney Infinity style. It was like a block with walls around it and then just waves. Cool. And so you would like pick up the controller and there would just be 1 stormtrooper and then 2 stormtroopers and then the guy with the purple rod and then that guy with 2 stormtroopers and then that guy with 2 stormtroopers and now 2 guys up on the wall and then like I like when it was done and I played the demo, it was neat to like get good at the game and then they're like, oh, it's time for your demo. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to crush this thing. Let's do it. And he played through the first part with the AT-ATs, climbed up a completely different way, which I thought was cool. And talked a lot about more specific points throughout the demo that hopefully I'll try to remember and illustrate. But I thought that was interesting because he was very forthcoming about how this demo was set up for E3. One point that I thought was very interesting was there was one point where he gets up to something he needs to rotate to wall run on, and then he can't do it because BD1 doesn't have the tech to hack it to move it, and so he doubles back, and then there's a door right there, and he goes to the door, and he pointed out, he's like, in the actual level, it's someplace else. It's a little more elaborate than this, but we put it in this door. Just to make the demo easier, to make it quicker for us to run through.
There it is.
E3.
There's that E3 budget, making this version of the game.
And pointed out a lot of like doors and stuff. Like I would walk by a door and he'd be like, this opens up when you actually do the level, and or this becomes an elevator, so you can actually take this up and down when you're actually going back through. But specifically, and I don't have my phone on me, I'll try to remember it as much as I can because they had a laminated sheet that had all the controls. Cool. And I was like, I'll take a picture of this. But there was more abilities that Cal has than I was able to get good at in this amount of time. But I think out of everything that he does that I really dug, that I want to talk about first of all, and keep in mind, this is just me getting good at that in this arena. So I'm just in a very tight space fighting these things. Got to fight the K2SO droid.
Nice.
Which was really creepy. Tough? Yeah, because he'll grapple you. And when he would pick me up and slam me down, I could only take 2 of those, and then that would take me out.
Excellent.
And he's got the arms out, and so I'm like running around trying to grab these other things, and he's just like following me, and I could literally have like 8 Respawn people just cracking up behind me, just like, yep, you got you again.
Jones, that's so good.
And one thing that they had in the demo, which was great, was they had Probe Droid from Empire, and I don't recall seeing those so far in the gameplay. And I love that I'm just like, God, I'm like throwing the lightsaber at it and like trying to jump and hit it. And I just like didn't even think about it. He's like, you can force pull. And I was like, oh. And it's boom, pull it out of the sky. But it's tough because if it's just me and that, I mean, it's no question I can take it out. But once they start adding more targets that you have to deal with, and once they start classic Batman style, once they start having things that can block and having things that are just out of your reach and shooting, it adds up, and it gets. I easily got flustered. I think I made just like wave like 15 or 16.
Yeah.
And then it was time for my demo.
Jones, are we underestimating like how crazy things are going to get? Do you imagine a scene where you're going up against like 75 stormtroopers? Like,
I don't know.
Could that happen?
I don't know.
Okay.
And again, like they're very forthcoming about how they had this demo set up. He's like, this is an easy demo. He's like, this, when you go through this level in the actual game, it will be much more difficult than this. He's like, we just wanted people to play around with their force powers and have characters like this, like to have the characters with the purple staff be much more challenging. And but
the red blink, that
is an unblockable attack.
Unblockable,
Yeah.
Okay.
Brad Ellis called it. He saw that, and I was like, yeah, I don't know what that is. And he's like, I don't know what that is. Come on. He's on it. But the 2 favorite abilities that they have that are so much fun is force push, force pull. So pull is left trigger, push is right trigger. And if you hold it down and charge it, if you're doing the force push, he'll charge up and boom, do like a really strong force push. and if you just tap it, he'll do a really simple one.
Cool.
One bit that we'll get to later in the demo. I don't know if they'll. I think they showed this on stage, but I climbed up, and it was so much fun because I was like going into areas, and it's like I know exactly the amount of stormtroopers that are in this room, and I know where they are, and I'm gonna mess them up. And so I climbed up, and there were two of them looking over a ledge, and I just just really easily like force pushed the first guy. But the thing about force push and force pull is it's degrees depending on how long you hold both of the triggers down. And the thing that's fun about force pull is that means you can just like kind of pull somebody toward you, but not necessarily all the way toward you. So when you see him pull somebody all the way toward you and then he does the stab, that's him holding down left trigger the whole time.
Got it.
Oh, okay.
So the one part where he came out and saw the stormtroopers fighting spiders, I killed every single stormtrooper on that ledge. I literally just snuck up behind the first guy, killed him, saw the other guy, threw a lightsaber at him, and just force pull, stab that guy.
Nice.
Force pull, stab that guy. Because they were all like they were all busy with the spiders. And before I even did that, I killed the first guy and then was just watching it. And I looked over at the guy and he looked over at me and I'm like, and he was like, "Take your time." He's like, "Yeah." He's like, sometimes he's like, usually the spiders kill them, but sometimes they'll manage to take one of the spiders out. And I was like, "Okay, cool." So it'd be neat to actually like watch. There's another scenario that I think we just ran past where like these like bee characters, these like bugs come crawling in, and so you see like the guys with flamethrowers. The guys with flamethrowers, man, brutal.
They'll mess you up.
That was about as far as I got. It was like two flamethrowers, K2SO, probe droid, and two guys up on the tower like shooting at me. And I was like, I can't do this.
Really good
if
to hear.
I spent time with it, I probably could get better at it. But I was like, that's time for my demo.
But that's good to hear because that was a concern, because the demo, all we had to really go off was the demo, and everything just looked really. I'm not saying basic, but like it looked simple.
Well, they just wanted to run through it.
Exactly.
Fast,
exactly.
Again, like Avengers, like they wanted to just like do as much as they can. The force grabbing was fairly straightforward, especially after seeing the demo. Like I was able to platform through these areas. So yeah, this is where I just grabbed people one by one. But this guy, if you see over on the right, you can see a guy up on the wall that you later wall run on. And what I did to that guy is I just did a little left trigger tap. And so I pulled him a little bit, but just enough for him to like fall off the ledge.
That's
so I could
so
pull him all
good,
the way over from there. So I just thought that was really cool that like there are degrees to the strength of your abilities, that it's not just like I press a button and it does this thing. That I love that those are assigned to the two triggers. Left bumper is block. Tons of melee attacks that didn't do anything for. Like there are a lot of melee attacks that just went right through that. So it's like mostly for deflecting laser fire and just really simple melee attacks. If you hold block and hit Y, I think that's the saber throw. I think right bumper is a modifier for. I think if you hold down right bumper, he does that like charge attack. And then if you think you hold right bumper and do attacks, he'll do different specific strong attacks. Just didn't have a lot of time to get really good at that. When I was doing the waves, it was like almost all evasion. It was just like I'm just running away from these guys.
How many like blaster shots take you down?
Not a lot.
Okay.
There was not a problem. When I did the waves and it was usually like I was just being stubborn. Oh, I totally didn't go this way. Oh, cool. I went the other way.
Oh, secrets.
Yeah, it was mostly me just being like not selfish, but like when you have like low health and like better. You should get away and heal, but you're still like, no, I'm trying to block and do a cool thing. And then I would just get taken out. So yeah, it was just me being an idiot. And I asked them in the interview, when you got to these like meditation points, is that where you spend your skill points? And I brought it up, and I think one was lightsaber, one was force, and one was just like general combat abilities. That also saves your progress. That's the checkpoint on the level. And yeah, everything, once I actually like got into the level itself, everything was pretty straightforward. I was able to just rip through it because it wasn't, again, he said he's like this, the AI is not really tuned up as much as it will be in this area. I was really, I wasn't impressed, obviously, like visually with, you totally didn't do any of this. I wasn't, visually impressed with the environment that I was playing the waves in, but like, I think I had more fun in that area because it was really And it was really smart for them to set that up.
That
and,
is a very cool idea.
And I feel was, kind of emblematic of like when I was done, Stig grabbed me and was like, what did you think? And we had a really fun conversation just about Star Wars and the design. And I asked him like the ship that he has. I'm like, did you design, is that based on anything? He's like, that's 100% our ship. Like we designed this brand new ship. He mentioned, what I had heard them say before, but I believe Doug Chang is his name. He's the guy who designed all of the stuff for the prequels, that he and Respawn and Ben Burt, who was the guy that decided what lightsabers sound like, what Chewbacca sounds like, what the Falcon sounds like, all of that stuff, came back to do the sound for BD1. And so it's neat that a lot of the elements in this game are like new, but designed by Respawn and just people that have been around the Star Wars series for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
Years, if not decades. Like this scenario here is like, it was not necessarily difficult. I didn't want to, I didn't want to do the same thing that he did. I just like deflected absolutely every single shot. Deflection is great. It's like a counter. You can also, it's just left trigger right when it happens, or left bumper.
Okay, yeah.
And you can do a perfect dodge. So you'll see him do that, and everything goes slowly. Never could do it.
Okay.
The whole time. During the waves, and when I actually went through the mission, could never pull it off.
When
if Brad had done my appointment, he probably would have done it.
When Blue Blade guy hits you, is there a block and a parry? Like if you hold block, does it just do it? And if you can you parry, reflect it? This
is where I just shoved the guy off, the guy on the right there. I was like, see ya. Like that. Well, I did it before you even turned around. But you really want to counter. Like you really want to tap that left bumper when you're getting, like I did a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, you can throw people out. I didn't even do
so
any of that.
So there is like a counter parry type thing? Cool.
It just gives you an example. Like this room, I did this room completely differently than he's doing that. Like I immediately went over to the gunners on the left, like
get the range filth out, take him out.
I pushed the other two guys off, and then it was just me and this guy. And the slow-mo was interesting. I got confused right away, and I didn't really get to use it a lot. And then he explained later. I was like, oh, that's what it is, because it's confusing. Like, and I think that's right bumper. So he will slow them down, but the second you go to attack them, it cancels it. So it's really like crowd control. Like it's really just one person, like you stop, and then you go over to someone else, and that person's moving really slowly. But it's not, it's not something it's not something you can use as a crutch. But so it's interesting, like this, and it was funny because my demo ended the same way here, where the K2SO droid comes out and then the demo ends, but I ripped up like 5 of them when I was doing the wave thing.
Yeah.
So like, it kind of sets this, scenario up like this is some big crazy boss battle, and it's not. They're tough, like once those things grab you, but if you can get around them, they're not that difficult. But it was again, when I did this demo, it was not that difficult. I was not blown away. I didn't really discover like a lot of new things that I didn't understand from watching the demo during the EA Play live stream, and then subsequently behind closed doors. It was really just getting hammered by having like 8 targets at once, all of these different types. And it was funny too, because I was on this one thing with these like flamethrower guys, and I got so close and just got cocky. It got taken out. And then one guy came up behind me and was like, we should really start your demo. And I was like, okay. And the reason why people were like, wait, no, you were close. And I was like, we all know what's going to happen if I try. How this game feels. Like that was kind of like the whole theme of the appointment. Like he walked me through the whole AT-AT sequence, and then actually fired the AT-AT. And then after it had crashed, and stepped out, handed it over to me.
Yeah.
And was just very much like paying attention to all the inputs that I was doing. And not only from the controls that I saw, and was very much aware that like I would, press 2 buttons together and do some cool move, and I'd be like, oh, I would love to do that on command, but I only got, like 3 more minutes of this demo.
Yeah.
But even just watching this, like watching like one move that I love that he pulled somebody toward him and threw him at somebody else. It's neat, and that's kind of actually what I want from a Jedi game, and I think it's gonna be interesting, kind of this double-edged sword of like, I don't want to be too powerful, but I don't want to be too weak at the same time.
Right.
Like I want to be able to like have a stormtrooper see me and be like, oh man, just like 3 guys in a hallway. It's like, I'm going to, tear through you like tissue paper.
Yeah.
But at the same time, now there's a bunch of you, or now there's a guy who's just kind of far away, or there's just that, again, like Batman, like there's just that one extra annoying guy that I can't just rush through this. I have to deal with him first.
Yeah.
Um,
That's what I love about Jedi Outcast and Jedi Academy, but that has the benefit of having a ton of Sith coming at you, you know?
Right.
It's like you're owning, and then like 4 Sith guys come, and it's like, whoa, okay, now business picks up, and
Right.
it's like these purple blades don't seem too threatening, and the KSOs you're taking out, but like, are there going to be more Sith, or what's like the big
No hints whatsoever
Threat.
at that story. It was funny when
Yeah.
Brad and I interviewed 2 members of Respawn at EA Play on Saturday. One guy whose name's Brandon, who I know at Respawn, was really, really nice. And the guy across from him had this look on his face that was like, try me. I'm not answering any of your questions. Lore-wise, you know? He was like,
Yeah.
I will clarify things you saw in that demo, full stop.
yeah?
I
I got $20 on Cal being in a live action Star Wars anything. It's gonna happen.
Oh, sure.
Because Cameron Monaghan is amazing.
He's lore,
and-
yeah. He'll pop. He'll be in Star Wars Land,
Yeah.
or he'll pop up. I mean, certainly gonna be in Galaxy of Heroes. I know, like I'm waiting for that. But and they focused a little bit more on clarified one thing that I understood, but I thought was interesting in terms of like how you actually explore these different levels.
It reminds me of Ratchet and Clank. Do you get a Ratchet and Clank vibe, Jones? Nobody's been saying this, but every time I look at this game, I'm like, dude, Ratchet and Clank. Because you go to a planet, you get new gadgets to progress through it,
Yeah.
and it's like, okay, you can leave and come back to the planet, and there's like little side quests, side areas.
Yeah,
They keep saying Metroidvania, but I'm just like,
a little.
is it Metroid?
A little bit of both? Sure, sure.
Okay.
I just think from what I've seen of Ratchet and Clank, big wide hallways. Lots of different kind of like targets at once. Obviously, the comedy, which is not in this game too much. Yeah. But yeah, I think there's like maybe a little bit more platforming. Oh, that's the one thing about jumping that I actually overheard Respawn is when I was like trying to get good at it. It's just a natural reflex where you'd be like double jump, and it's not really doing anything in combat. And one of the Respawn guys was like, they always jump. He's like, yeah, and the guy's like, yeah, we had so many jumpers today, and he's like, it just doesn't, it's mostly for
funny.
platforming and traveling through the level and stuff like that. It's like not going to do a lot for you in combat, but.
Interesting.
What we saw in behind closed doors is that you can go into your ship, that there's like the Mass Effect planet navigation where you can bring up all the different planets. But 2 things that they show that I hadn't seen before. One, clarified that it's not only your ship, but there's like a landing area. So every planet has like one specific spot where the ship comes and lands, and then the ship's always going to be there. And so not only are you unlocking things as you go through the level, you're unlocking new creative ways to get back to your ship. So, like as you go further and further and further, it's like kind of tricky, like to get back to your ship, and then you unlock like some tram. Like,
There
oh,
it
cool,
is.
I can just take that.
That is straight up Ratchet and Clank.
Cool.
Awesome.
And just in general, it's nice to have that vibe. I love the fact that you can go to your ship. I told Stig this. I'm just like, it just feels like I have a home. It's nice to like go.
Whoa. Tell me about the ship, Jones.
It's just you just walk in. It's kind of has like slight Falcon vibes.
Do
You
have
see
your,
it.
like,
It's
do you have your like a bedroom? Is there a bedroom?
No. It's like he did say there's more parts of the ship open up as you go, throughout the game. But it was just this initial. Again, they kind of had like a clean Falcon vibe. But I had like the game board and everything. But
Can you play?
It was a pretty.
Can you play the game board?
No, he didn't do any of that stuff.
Nah.
But he did dug a little bit deeper than Behind the Closed Doors did, where he brought up the level and then zoomed in and showed you like. This is, this white door identifies the door is here. We don't know what's going on with that door. Red doors are inaccessible. Green doors mean you've been here and now have the ability to open that door. And I love that stuff. Like that's one of the things that attracts me to the Prime series is it looks like, it can get pretty, perplexing, but it looks like it's very straightforward in terms of like what you can do, what you can't do, where you've been, where you haven't.
Cool.
And one planet that he looked at, you could see where you were going to land when you went there, but like you could see there was just the rest of the map that was all grayed out because like you haven't been there, you haven't unlocked it yet.
Jones, I'm going to ask you a question that you could give an hour-long answer for. So tone it down. You are a Star Wars super fan, Star Wars maniac. I thought I liked Star Wars until I met you. How excited are you for this story, for the lore, for this point in this franchise?
It's interesting that you brought that up because I think that's the most tepid that I am for this project at this point.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily need more lore in this time period, like between 3 and 4. Like I think I'm hoping they discover some really interesting things. There is an interesting moment between Saul Guerrero and I can't remember if that was shown during the live stream where he's like, "What are you doing here?" And then your co-pilot says, "Oh, he's a Jedi," and Saul's like, "What?" And you show him the lightsaber, and Saul's like, "Did you steal that?" And he's like, "No, I got that from my master." And he's like, "Okay, all right." Like, just saying, because it's rare, and so it's interesting. What initially when they showed him with the cloak up and he's hiding from everybody, I was like, "Oh, it'd be cool if there's stealth mechanics." And I'm like, "No, not really." But like, it'd be interesting to go to these different planets and have them react to you. As a Jedi, like I hope that's something that they don't take for granted. I hope that doesn't get old. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna kind of let this story happen. Like I really don't have any expectations. There's no characters I like hope are in it. There's no planets like I hope we go to. I hope it's weird. I hope it's unusual. I hope there's like this moment that's like spoiled for me now, but like when this like, spider comes out of nowhere, like I hope there's a lot of that where you like get trapped in a like what and some crazy looking thing I've never seen before. It's not like, oh, it's the thing from the hollow chess board, or like, oh, it's a Sarlacc. Neat. Like I hope there's just crazy
Like, do
stuff.
you want those
the planets feel very different from each other?
Do you want those fan service moments? Like, do you want a Sarlacc pit, or do you want a Rancor to show up?
Not really.
You want to distance it?
I'll appreciate that stuff. I hope they're subtle. Like there's the one line that they did have in the live stream where he's like, "We have the high ground." You're like, "Huh." So like there are little beats like that. I hope. Oh, I feel so bad because when he force pushes the black astromech into the group.
Yeah.
I turn the corner and it's there, and I like look at the guy that's demoing, and I'm like, I'm gonna walk right past this droid. Thank you very much. I'm not gonna use it as a projectile. And then of course I accidentally hit with my lightsaber, like cut it in half. Like, oh, sorry. But yeah, you do bring up a good point though. Is that like, I am excited about this game, man. I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna arm wrestle Brad to review this thing. But like, do I really care about Cal right now? No. Okay. You know who I care about? BD1, man.
BD1.
And that was one of the things that I told the team before I left. They were like, "What really stood out to you?" And I'm like, "I know this is not the answer you're looking for because you really want like that nuanced combat reaction. But I just love that you go up to a terminal and BD1's like, got it, and you just whoop, whoop, like goes over.
That's great.
And that just helps streamline the whole thing because like I'm not doing this to hack machines. I'm not doing this to spend a lot of time at terminals typing at stuff.
Yeah.
Hold B to like type. And so I like that. Not only is that stuff quick, but a lot of times it's accompanied by a fun little interaction between him and Cal. You didn't see it, but when he takes control of the AT-AT, he walks in the cockpit and then kind of looks over at BD1, and then BD1 hops up in the middle and like beats at the two of them. And they're like, "What?" And then he like crushes their heads. Oh, and I forgot this. When he's piloting it, he's like, "Okay," and like trying to get the controls of the AT-AT, and this hologram comes up, and this guy's like yelling at Cal, and Cal's like, "Can you shut him up, please?" And BD1 just steps over and like stops on the machine.
My gosh.
So like, yeah, I'm a sucker for that guy, and I told the whole Respawn team, I'm like, I know you're selling him. When are you selling him? When can I get him?
Oh my god.
This thing's like he's on my desk right now. We'll see if that hits stores. But,
Switch version.
Yeah.
Amiibo.
So
Let's go.
Do I need the lore? Not at all. Like I'm just gonna kind of see, the worlds. I think I'm mostly looking forward to, and just getting good at it. It's one of those demos where, like, by the end of it, I'm like, I'm kind of finally in control of this game, and sadly, I have to leave. That was like the last sentiment that I told him before I took off. Is like, the only thing I'm sad about is I wish I was better at this. Because I'm just starting to, not only get skilled at it and get good at dodging and stuff, but seeing the playfulness of it. And I wonder if there's going to be like a replayable sense of like the mission I undertook is done on this planet, but if I go back, maybe it started to repopulate a little bit with soldiers and stuff, and I can play around. So story, but do I want to play more of this? Yeah, I wish I had it right now. I'd play around with it a lot. It's fun.
Nice.
Yeah.